إيمان وايلة أكسيدنت اتنرابة ناشة ليطي متبصل طاقة شكلي. اتلا نسيانة بدنا كيسس ات injury law و بيالباية قريمخ. إن آتن ينكل بتت بيتا خزموخن يطانة اتلوخن بوقارة مخبرون المنيان التلفون 8 أوروبا شوا وشو 8 تري وشو 5 خا يعني توكن بيت injuryrights.com. شمي إلى توني كالوغراكس كي يمزمن لشان خلية يما.
Welcome to Assyrian National Council of Illinois. Where we provide home care services for the elderly 60 years and older. For over 20 years, ANCI has worked closely with the state of Illinois to strengthen and expand our home care program. We currently service the Chicagoland area, including Cook, Kane, and DuPage counties. If you are interested in finding out more about our home care services, please visit us at our Chicago or Streamwood office.
Steve, are you ready? All right. So welcome to this year's NAButalks. So NAButalks is our venue to connect successful, innovative, and expert Assyrians within their respective fields in our community during the annual A&F conventions. It is a medium to spread ideas, foster creativity, and eventually advance our nation through thought-provoking and creative presentations. Why do we call it Nabu? Nabu is the son of Marduk, the Syrian patron god of literacy, the rational arts, scribes, and wisdom. Not only an homage to the past, but it is through these very ideals that our nation and community can persevere during these times of tribulation and exodus. It is our ultimate goal, by engaging with our esteemed speakers, to draw from their experiences, spark your curiosity, that you do more for yourself and Assyria. As is the case for each year, we open the call for nominations for the NAButalks speaker. It is our premiere, our keynote presentation for all of convention. This year we were inundated with many nominations for a lot of really compelling and trailblazing Assyrians. But our committee was unanimous in their decision for this year's NAButalks speaker, Alvina Antar. Alvina is the Chief Information Officer at Okta, where she's dedicated to scaling the companies for sustained growth. With a background marked by success, Alvina got her start in IT at Dell, where she joined as a graduate software engineer. She spent an impressive 17 years at Dell, honing her skills across various domains before moving into M&A and leading the organization's acquisition and integration strategy. Her experience at Dell provided her with a strong foundation and a deep understanding of the tech industry. Following her tenure at Dell, Alvina embarked on a remarkable journey, serving as inaugural CIO at Zura, forgive me if I mispronounced that, where she oversaw the remarkable growth from 30 million to 300 million in revenue and guided the company through a successful IPO in 2018. Her contributions extend far beyond the boardroom, as she co-founded the Silicon Valley CIO Women's Network and is a Girls in Tech Board of Directors member. She also serves on the public board of directors of Couchbase, and she's married with children, living in Menlo Park. Alvina is a committed mother. This is a critical point because with much success and umtanayuta, it means nothing if we don't invest in our own families. Without further ado, our NAButalks speaker for 2023, Alvina Antar.
Wow, I can't even tell you how honored I am and how blessed and humbled I am to be in this position to share with you my story. And thank you honestly for creating NAButalks. The fact that we're in a position to be able to share our stories and to be in a position to inspire the next generation of technologists, of doctors, of engineers, of lawyers, that is what I'm here for. And so when I was asked to share my story, obviously I was nervous, thinking, how am I going to stand in front of my family, in front of my friends, in front of Assyrians that I love and admire, and share my story? But really, I'm compelled because I'm motivated, inspired by each and every one of you. And so, here's my story. My story starts. I was born in San Francisco, and the only reason I was born in San Francisco is because my father wanted to have a child born in the United States so that one of us could be president. And so I was the one. My sister was born in Iraq, my brother was born in Libya, but I was the lucky one to be born in San Francisco. I mean, the president isn't happening anytime soon, but and then we proceeded to move to Kuwait. And I grew up there. I spent my entire childhood in Kuwait. And my father was a geologist, and he actually was at the University of Baghdad, and they actually sent him on scholarship to study at the PhD. And my father's brother is here, Uncle Yutam, Sergon Yuash is here, and his son Raymond. And so, my father is my inspiration, my hero. And although he passed 13 years ago, he's here. He's here today. He's here now with me, watching me, beaming with pride at his little girl. I am his baby. He used to call me Yimmy. And I'm motivated and inspired to continue to be worthy of being his daughter and being his Yimmy. He called me Yimmy because I looked like his mommy, right, Uncle? So my father was sent to the University of Texas on a scholarship with the promise of being able to then come back to Iraq and teach at the University of Iraq. And so he did that. And then so he was a PhD in geology, and so we were in Kuwait, and he actually worked at the Kuwait Institute for Science and Research, and he made such a huge sacrifice for us to be able to move his family to the United States because he wanted us to study in the United States like he did. And so we moved in 1985 to Texas because we were following the oil. And so I was in Houston. I spent my child. I moved at the age of 11. I spent my junior high and high school in Houston, and I went to the University of Houston. I didn't have a choice at that time. My father was like, "You're going to live at home," and so I was a commuter student at U of H. We call it Cougar High. For those of you that know U of H. But I'm a proud member and graduate of University of Houston. Actually, my sister did not want me to go to U of H. She wanted me to be a theater, an aspired actor. While I was in school, I was in live theater. That was my passion. I loved theater. I loved live theater, and she wanted me to go to LA and pursue my theater career. Instead, I took my father's advice and went to college, and I had no idea what I wanted to study. I just knew I loved math. So we looked through the syllabus, the college syllabus. We just flipped pages at the college syllabus. And I was just looking at things that had a strength in math. I actually, first, when I talked to my dad, I wanted to be a math professor. So, because he was a geology professor, I said, why not follow in his footsteps? And then he urged me to look at degrees that had a strength in math, but also allowed me to open my mind to other opportunities. So that's where computer science fit in. And I knew nothing about programming. I mean, this was, not at this day and age. Like, I was not an engineer at heart. I just loved math. And so, but, again, I blindly took my father's advice. Tips, everyone, listen to your mommy and daddy. They know what's best. And I was the girl that I was my daddy's Yimmy. Like, he said computer science was a good thing. And so I said, sure, I'll try it. And then I looked around. My freshman year, I was completely just in a bad place. I was like, I don't belong. I don't look like any of these people. I don't sound like any of these people. What am I doing in this department? And so I thought about quitting, and not quitting school, but I thought about changing my major. And he, at that time, told me, and I shared this with many, and I will share it for the rest of my life. He told me at that time, Alvina, you are an 800-pound gorilla, capable of anything that you put your mind to. And so, don't quit. Don't question yourself. Have inner confidence and really just pursue your passion. And that's what I did. I stuck with it. It was tough as ever. I mean, I never in a million years thought I was going to be coding a compiler and machine language. And, it was not in my cards, but I stuck with it, even though I was uncomfortable, even though I didn't feel like I belonged. And it was the best decision of my life. I mean, at that time, I graduated in 1997. There were, honestly, a handful of females in my department. A handful of females in technology. And that is why I am so passionate now to be able to, really influence and help the next generation of girls in technology, and really to be able to continue to influence and make sure that we have diversity in tech. Obviously we just heard from doctors that I took so many notes. I don't know if all of you did, but I need all of those diets and then some. But I am here to sell you on technology and how, think about now how, the evolution of technology, it is ever evolving. If you're someone who gets bored easily, which I get bored easily, if you're someone that constantly wants to grow and learn and just feel uncomfortable, technology is the place to be, because guess what? I mean, look at now, we've got AI. I mean, AI has been around for years, but how technology is continuously evolving. You can never stop learning. You can never stop growing. You will always, my CS degree, what I learned, back then I was studying C# and C++. Those languages, they're still alive, but they're not the key languages that engineers, R&D organizations, and software engineers in IT or product and engineering are using to this day. But the core foundation of computer science is what you learn in education. You learn the foundation, and you learn how to learn. You learn how to have a growth mindset. And that is why I'm always learning, always thinking about how to continue to evolve, and being in a position where you surround yourself with bigger and better people. So that is, my computer science story. So let me go back to what I was thinking. So I graduated, believe it or not, from with my degree, and I was so proud, and I had no clue what I was going to do. I was just happy I graduated, let alone get my first job. So I went to the career center in the university, and I went in, blind, and thinking what am I going to pursue? So and Dell Dell Technology was there interviewing, and it was actually the first time they were in the Career Center interviewing college grads. And so it was my senior year. I went there, and when I saw Dell, I was like, oh my gosh, I am going to get that job. And why did I think Dell? I loved Michael Dell. I mean, the innovator, you know, the build to order model. Like, how innovative was he? Or is he actually? I still follow Michael Dell and all that they're doing, from privatization to going back to being public. I mean, they are incredible. So when I walked into that, I said, I'm going to get this job. And guess what? I put it out there and I got it, because, I'm a 800-pound gorilla, right? So I got the job. My first job was a programmer. At the time, they called them programmers. But now, we level it up and call it a software engineer. That was my first job at Dell, and I was in IT. And the first year I was there, they put me to code in like legacy COBOL, dark ages, for the tech people in the house, I was just about to quit. I told my boss, no, I am not going to come in here as a new college grad and code in COBOL. No, So then I was given the opportunity, because I went in fearless, and my first job for, my first manager, fearless, and said, no, I'm not going to work on COBOL. You can get other people. I'm not doing it. And so they put me on the latest and greatest, most innovative teams that were building, technology from the ground up. And that's where I started. That was the foundation for me. I spent 17 years. Yes, that's a long time. Yeah, and I'm not that young. Even though I look it. No, I'm kidding.
You're young and Middle Eastern.
Yes, baby, yes. But I spent 17 years there. And every single year, I'm telling you, as soon as I got bored and felt like I wasn't learning, I looked around. What am I going to do next? Should I stay or should I go? Should I stay or should I go? No, but that's what I was thinking. And every year, I was thinking, am I going to be able to grow here? And what I found is each time I was given a new opportunity. Each time, and it wasn't that someone handed me an opportunity. No. I found a problem, and then I went to the key stakeholder. Like an example, in my last couple of years, Dell was acquiring companies left and right. Dell was evolving from a hardware company to a software solutions, and it was all inorganic growth through acquisitions. And so so I was in IT, I spent my entire time there, and we had no strategy for M&A integration. We had no mergers and acquisitions integration team. So what did I do? I didn't just go into the CIO at the time and say, these are all our problems, this is what we're doing wrong, and this is what... No, I went in with a solution. And that I went in and said, this is what we need to do. We need to create a M&A IT organization that partners with corporate strategy, that builds and is part of due diligence, that drives the integration strategy so that we're in a position to be able to cross-sell and upsell all these new product offerings with Dell. And the CIO looked at me and said, okay, do it. So that was an example of all those years that I was there, where I came with a problem and a solution. Not just a problem to complain and which a lot of people do, which is why I'm sharing that on my team today, but a solution. People that come in with answers, with solutions, that see problems and identify solutions, those are the people that will propel to incredible heights. And so that's what I did, and that was transformative for me. I was able to drive the M&A IT team. I built the team from the ground up. And at that time, that's when I got an itch, right? That's when I was actually working with a bunch of software companies, a bunch of companies that we were acquiring. And so I was talking to the CEOs and the founders of these companies. And so I was like, wow, this is a different world. Yes, I was having a lot of fun at Dell, but the startup world is crazy. So that's when I realized, maybe I should consider leaving. And And so what I would say is the only reason I left Dell, the only reason is because of my husband, Rami, who's here. And actually the only reason I met Rami, best decision of my life, by the way. I mean, yes, I've had many decisions in my life, but the single most important decision is meeting my husband at convention. Yes, at convention I met my husband. I love you, baby. I used to, my nana, my mom's mommy, used to live with us, and I used to always ask her to pray for me. I used to say, Nana, can you please pray for me so that I can marry an Assyrian man? I mean, and she would sit in her room. Her prayers were so loud, like everybody in the house could hear her prayers. Nana Juliet Warda. So she used to pray so loud, and God answered her prayers. God definitely answered her prayers. And the reason, I didn't grow up around Assyrians. In Kuwait, we had some Assyrian families. In Houston, we had no Assyrian community. None. I mean, I'm sorry, my father did start and found, right, Uncle? The Assyrian Association of Houston. My father was the founder. And we were building for years. He was looking to build a church, but we just didn't have the community that we have here. And so I longed for that. I loved Assyrian music. For those of you that know me, I learned Assyrian. I mean, of course, my parents only spoke Assyrian at home, but Walter Aziz, who's singing tonight, I know all of his songs by heart. Test me, please. I'll be singing them tonight, like all night long. But what's one thing that's amazing about Assyrians, like, obviously I'm proud. I'm 1,000% Assyrian, right, Uncle? I'm 1,000% Assyrian. I remember the convention where I went, and they had the T-shirts of 100% Assyrian and then the 50-50. You guys still count? Still count. But I mean, I loved the 100%, 50% Assyrian. It was amazing. Like, but yes, I'm a proud 1,000% Assyrian, and that is why I don't know, the music. It's not just music to learn dancing. The music gave me a different inspiration for who we are, and helped me actually learn the language more deeply. And so that's why I'm so happy that music and dance and all the things that make us who we are, our food, our spirituality that comes from within, is why I'm an incredibly proud Assyrian. Okay, I've lost myself. So, one thing that my father did share, so I wanted to share that so my uncles, so at convention, my aunt Rami's aunt tried to introduce us, and then, he tells the story much better than me. He's actually a much better storyteller, right, Andy? But his story is, he saw me in my red dress. Yeah, I like red. And he came up to me and then, and said hi and then ran away. And then 10 years later, my uncle, Voltaire, tried to introduce us. Can you imagine? So 10 years later, my uncle, our family members were persistent. And at the time, my uncle was like, this is a man, this guy is amazing. Our families were neighbors in Iraq. You have to meet him. And I was like, Uncle, I'm not desperate. Until this day, my uncle, Voltaire, comes to our house and says, Brati, you said you're not desperate. And then my aunt Elsie says, but you were desperate. So yeah, that's the desperate story. And maybe there's I was a workaholic, or I still am a workaholic. I love what I do. I love working. And so yeah, I was working crazy hours, and I didn't really make time for relationships. I just was so determined, to pursue my aspirations, and I'm someone that just goes all in all in with what I do. And so, yeah, I was, when I hit 30, my dad went from, hanging up and yelling at boys that called our home number. When I hit 30, my dad was like, "When are you getting married?" I was like, "Dad, what happened to my career? And what happened to, so obviously the pressure was on to get married. And so I did. And I married the most beautiful man in the world. And so then we tried to have babies, and that was hard. We had to go through in vitro and fertility, and yeah, TMI. But we struggled to have children, and then finally, I was blessed with 2 baby boys, Alec and Luke, who are now they're teenagers. They're 14. They're freshmen in high school. I have no idea how to be a teenage mom, so I'm trying to figure that out. It's a different phase that I'm not prepared for. But, what more could I ask for? I had 2 healthy boys. When the doctor told us we could never, naturally conceive, with science and technology, thank God we were blessed. And then for my boy's first birthday, I wanted to be with my mom and dad. So I took the boys and went to Houston to hang out, and I wanted to celebrate their first birthday. And a couple days before my boy's first birthday, actually a week before my Alec and Luke's first birthday, my dad suddenly passed away. I was there. I was at their home with my mom, and he was 76, and he just didn't wake up. And so my father is my world, and even though he passed too early, he lives in me. He does. He lives in me, and so he is the reason I am here today. He is the reason why somebody decided to allow me to share my story, and I'm blessed, to be his daughter. And my mother, after my dad passed, who is an angel from heaven above, my mommy Fiona, she moved in with us. And so people ask me, like, how do you do it? How do you follow? How do you work? How do you do what you do and travel? And I do it because I have the most incredible support system around me. It's not me. I'm surrounded by people who love me and push me and push me to never hold back. And my mom is living with us, and imagine, being able to have my children, have the love and just love of their grandmother is the most beautiful thing in the world. And so, I'm blessed to have my mommy live with us. I then decided, so I mentioned I left, I mentioned that I was there for 17 years. I was doing M&A, IT. I was working with the software tech companies. I was meeting the founders of the CEOs. I then decided I had an opportunity to leave. They offered a severance package, and Rami, who took the place of my daddy, honestly. Like, Rami was like, "What are you doing, Alvina? What are you doing? Are you going to stay at the same company that you started?" And I was like, "But I'm happy. I'm giving opportunities. I'm growing. I'm getting promoted. What more could I ask for? I can't be greedy." And he said, "Well, no, Alvina, you need more. Like, you should take this package." And I would have never in a million years taken that package. I had no other job. For a workaholic who loves what they do, there's no way I would quit without another job. But that was the biggest inflection point. I have many inflection points, but that was a huge inflection point in my career. I took a chance, quit my job with the support of my husband, and had no idea what I was doing next. And that is what opened the door for my next opportunity. That I was given an opportunity, actually one of the founders of the companies that I was working with while at Dell came to me and said, "What are you doing?" And I said, "Well, I'm dropping off the kids at school. I'm actually exercising again. I'm doing all kinds of stuff." And so, no, he said, "No, what are you doing? How can I get you to work at Zora?" And I said, well, and at that point, the 800-pound gorilla came back, and I said, well, what would get me to work at Zora? A CIO job. And he looked at me, and before I said it, I was like, am I out of my mind? Like, who in their right mind is going to give me a CIO? A rookie CIO? Alvina Antar? I don't know. But I just said it. I just threw it out there. I said it, and he said, well, why do you think that you're in a position to take on and lead IT from the ground up? And I said, well, I've spent 17 years in IT. I know IT left and right. I've worked in every part of the business. I know sales, marketing, finance, M&A. I know engineering, architecture. I went on and on and on, and I sold him. I sold him that I could be the rookie CIO for this company. It was an early stage company, early stage software company that wanted to go public. And I sold him. And at the time, they didn't need a CIO, but he knew me. I had a reputation. I built credibility, not because I was, bragging, and no, it was all my impact and influence that built like genuine credibility in what I'm capable of. And that is why the CEO came to me. It's because of building meaningful relationships. And, honestly, when I left Dell, I didn't even have a LinkedIn profile. I had no network. I was like, who is my network? People talk about networking. It sounds so transactional. Like, are you in my network? But networking to me was building meaningful relationships with people that I worked with. And I take my job very seriously. And so when I left Dell, I decided to start my LinkedIn profile, and I was shocked at the network that I had. People that were still at Dell because they were lifers, Dellionaires, and people that left Dell for their next gig, all over the industry, every industry. That was my network. I had the most incredible network that I was completely oblivious about. And so that was a big moment for me when I realized that I had this opportunity, and so I was given the gig. And I went in, and I was like, I told Rami, how is this going to happen? How am I going to be able to run IT from the ground up? I've never done this before. I was so insecure, but I did it. And honestly, the way I did it was by hiring people bigger and better than me. It wasn't about like, I'm on top of the world. No, it wasn't that. It was hiring people bigger and better than me. I knew that I had gaps. I knew I wasn't an infrastructure person. I knew I didn't have enterprise security expertise. I knew all the components that were required to be a CIO. But I knew my strengths. I knew that these are the areas of strength. And so I was able to then define and hire the most incredible talent and surround myself with people bigger and better than me. And that's where magic happens. Where you're surrounded by people who inspire you and influence you at every level. And a lot of the times people hesitate to do that because they're insecure. I believe people that I've seen that hire, they say A players hire A+ players, right? B players hire C, D players. Why? Because they're insecure. They're insecure about whether their job would be at risk. No. If I hired someone better than me, let them take my job. Like I had no level of insecurity, because that's one thing that my father instilled in me at an early age, and that I hope and pray that I can instill in my children. I'm looking at my baby girl up front. Is inner confidence. It's like this inner confidence. It's not about just having inner confidence, but genuine humility. The combination of that is so amazing. And that's what I hope and aspire to have my whole life, is inner confidence, but always genuine humility, and deep spirituality inside. So I wanted to share that. And the other thing that I didn't get to is, after my dad passed away, which was a shock, no one was ready to lose my daddy. Before my dad passed, I had the boys. They were 1 year old, and he was determined for me to have a girl. And I was like, Dad, I went through fertility twice, and I should be healthy. That I have 2 healthy boys. I mean, I should be grateful and not be greedy. And he's like, no, you have to have a girl. You have to have a girl. Brati, Jarj, awila khabrata. Brati, daqli awila khabrata. So I said, okay, Dad, but I can't. And so at that point, I was just like, I love you, Daddy, but, I'm sorry. I'm just going to be happy with Alec and Luke. My dad passed away, and I was traveling like crazy with work. I went to Malaysia, Cyberjaya, and I came back. I had a team there when I was at Dell. I came back, and I was feeling ill, and I went to my mom, and I'm like, Mom, bessa would gamer, bessa awa gamer. I mean, yubqi leila wara. Okay, and I love Gamar and Nepochta. Oh my gosh. So I was so mad at her. I was like, please, Mommy, Bessa. And so she was like, Akhullah. So she was, upset with me. Right, Uncle? That's how she sounds. So then I was feeling ill. I didn't know my skirt was too tight. And she's like, go to the Saturday clinic. So I went to the clinic, and the doctor was like, well, I said, just give me antibiotics. I don't know what I ate in Malaysia. Just give me something, please. And the doctor was like, well, we have to check if you're pregnant. Are you pregnant? And I said, absolutely not. I'm not pregnant. Just give me antibiotics. So she said, well, I'm sorry, we have to take a test. I said, okay, take the test, please, let's move. So we took the test. She came back scared to death to come back and tell me that I was pregnant. I was 3 months pregnant. And I had no idea, clueless. And I was 3 months pregnant, my miracle baby, no in vitro, no nothing, a miracle baby girl, Ella. Ella, you want to come say hi? No, you want to say hi to everyone? This is my baby girl, and this is who inspires me and motivates me every day. She is my world, and God gave me her, and my daddy gave me her. My daddy gave me her. He wanted me to have a girl, and look at her. I love you, Colby. Okay, so I got my girl. You can't have it all. I got the boys, I got my girl, I got the most incredible husband. I'm at Zora now, right? Okay, I'm clueless. I'm supposed to be doing this CIO gig that I have no idea what I'm doing. But I'm just, vulnerable. I'm asking for help. I'm sharing with everyone. I'm hiring people. And I learned, really, one of the girls yesterday shared an advice that she had in the Assyrian Professional. She said, fake it till you make it. That's what I did. And I still do it. To this day, I'm still faking it till I make it. And it is key. Her advice was huge. And someone else had mentioned teamwork and communication. Huge. I mean, those are the things, those are foundational in any career. Surround yourself with people that you trust. Surround yourself with people that propel you, people that you want to aspire. I was a sponge. Until this day, I'm a sponge. I work with people. I find people that I want to be, and I actually am vulnerable and share with them that I want to learn from them, and that's that's being a sponge, and honestly, that's what's propelled me to this day. So, I'm remembering now my father's advice of T equals M. I'm taking a lot of your time. Time equals money. The fact that you guys are giving me this time is gold. Until this day, I remember my dad used to tell Rami while he was waiting to go to the poker room, Nasha, T equals M. Time equals money. Come on, let's move. So time equals money. I just can't tell you how grateful I am for your time today and for you actually wanting to hear my story. So I met Zora. I spent 6 years there. As you mentioned, I went through the IPO. I mean, an initial public offering. How cool is that? New York Stock Exchange. I wasn't on the. I didn't ring the bell. Okay, that's a different story. I'll tell you later. But the IPO was incredible. I mean, these are things that propelled me to be at a company where I was able to experience what it takes to take a company public, especially in my role, was huge, or is huge, right? So being in a position where I was able to experience the initial public offering, I mean, ultimately, is what allowed me to be in a position where I was, I have a ton of opportunities. And so as you can tell, I mean, I spent 17 years at Dell. I spent 6 years at Zora. And the only reason I left Zora, again, I was actually crying. Like, I went to the CEO. Don't ask, I'm a very emotional kind of person. I cry very easily. But I put my all in my job, in the company. I believe in the company and the product. I don't just work for a company for a paycheck. The same way that I said I worked for Michael Dell in the build-to-order model, I worked for Teen Zoe because I believed in the subscription economy, the vision of recurring revenue business models. And so that was when I put my all in the company that I work for, I have to believe in their vision. It's not just a role. It's not just a paycheck. I mean, I'll take the money, but I mean, the vision of the company, that's what allows me to put my all in what I do, because I believe in what we're doing in the market. And so that is what kept me around and why I was emotional to leave Zora. But when Okta called, I was like, Okta? What? Okta wants to consider me to be I mean, this goes from rookie CIO to enterprise grade, right, guys? Tell me I'm right. No, but I'm just saying. So that was a huge opportunity. A lot of people know. I mean, if you don't know Okta, please come see me. But no, it's just a huge and unbelievable company who has been public for years, has an incredible brand, and I believe in their vision, the vision of identity for all. Identity in driving the customer and employee experiences and driving digital transformation and cloud adoption and zero trust security. I just spun off a slew of buzzwords, but that is the vision of identity. And I believe in it. I believe in it. Because that is, and AI actually, if you come to Octane on October 3rd to the 5th in San Francisco, you'll know all about identity and the vision of identity. And I believe it, and I have to believe it, because how could I possibly stand and be the chief information officer of Okta if I didn't believe in the vision of the company? That's what propels me. That's what motivates me. That's what inspires me to do my best. And so that is my experience at Okta. And so, what I realized, being at Okta, I realized the importance, and I'm looking at Mary, who I was able to talk to, who I'm just so inspired by, about having a personal board of directors. I was considering board of director positions because actually, I had no idea why I would consider a board of director position, but one of my mentors and sponsors said, you got to get on a board. And actually, you should get on a public board. And I was like, okay. Again, surround yourself with people bigger and better than you who motivate you and inspire you to do things that you would never in a million years consider. And so I said, okay, now that I've landed a real CIO gig. Now let me get on a board of directors. And so one of the people on my personal board of directors gave me that advice. And so that was what I was pursuing, is how do I land a public company board seat? I was already on a nonprofit board. There were many companies that again, part of who I am and what I stand for is giving back. And now I'm actually more motivated and inspired by that. And so I'm on the nonprofit board of directors of Girls in Tech. I've been involved with them for years, and their focus is on building the next generation of females in technology. And I am so inspired by their mission, and so I'm on their board. of directors. And I'm also on the advisory board of Build, which is a nonprofit that focuses on underprivileged youth. And so I was thinking, I do these for, amazing nonprofits, but Assyrians are my community. You are my people. I mean, the fact when I was asked to share my story, like, I want to do more for Assyrians, what I can do as a mentor, as a sponsor, anything that I can do to be able to give back the way that I've been blessed. I mean, the only reason I'm standing here today is because I had people lifting me beyond my own aspirations, showing me things that I never in a million years thought I could pursue. That's what I want to do for anyone and everyone, especially my Assyrian community. So that's my personal board of director story. I also, so as I was pursuing my public board, I interviewed and, for many opportunities, and Couchbase is a company that, I knew their product. They've been around for years. And so this is, again, a huge opportunity for me to grow and be uncomfortable. And I hope that you see a theme throughout my career. It's been now 25 plus years, and I'm nowhere near to stopping. I love what I do. Like I throughout my career, I've always just focused on being uncomfortable, being, really growing. And, people talk about the growth mindset. I hope that, like, as soon as you feel uncomfortable, as soon as you feel like you can do your job in your sleep, not the right gig. Not the right gig. You got to feel uncomfortable. You have to, feel as though, you're learning and growing, and learning is not, my dad used to say, education is the only thing that people can't take away from you. I mean, you can take away anything, but your education is not anything that you can take away, and your experience is also that. And so, always wanting to be able to grow and learn is something. And so just one thing I wanted to share is I was able to get on this board seat, amazing, and now I'm on their comp committee. I don't have no idea why they asked me to be on the comp committee, but I'm doing that, and that's, again, really uncomfortable. I just was talking to Rami on the way here about how I want to get certified in board level work, because that's an area. Being able to be in a position where you're vulnerable and know your weaknesses, know your gaps. Don't think that you can, obviously you're going to fake it till you make it, but you have to also understand where your gaps are and be able to fill those gaps in order to continue to propel. And this is an area that I want to continue to pursue. But one of the biggest highlights of my career was when Okta asked me to write a quote. So I wrote a quote for International Women's Day. And it was just, to really inspire, again, the next generation of females in technology is something that I'm extremely inspired by. And so I wrote a quote, and then they were like, oh, okay, this quote is going to be on the NASDAQ tower. Can we use your picture? This generic LinkedIn picture that I have. And I said, well, that sounds cool, but could I send you a picture of me and my daughter? And they were like, well, nobody's ever asked for that, but sure. So I took our Christmas picture, cut Rami out, cut Alec and Luke out, and me and Ella, I wish I had a picture of it, but me and Ella were on the NASDAQ tower this last year, or this year. And I was like, Rami, mommy, my mom, I call her mommy. And for those of you that have mommy, I always, when Ella calls me mom, I'm like, mommy, I'm mommy, not mom. No, but anyway, so I go to my mom, mommy, and I ask Rami, this is what's going to happen on the NASDAQ tower. We're going to watch it streaming. And they're like, you're going to watch it where? I said, they're going to stream it. He said, absolutely not. You need to go to New York. I said, you want me to go to New York to go see a picture on a tower? And he's like, yeah, this is a monumental moment that you can't miss. So thanks to Rami, Elle and I took our first trip to New York together, and we went and took a selfie in front of our NASDAQ tower picture and quote, and it's a memory that I will always hold in my heart for the rest of my life. And I know, I mean, it was cool, Ella, right? But it was such an incredible experience to be able to have that with my daughter. And after we did that, we went to the Lion King. And it was a last-minute trip, of course, because everything I do is last minute. You all know that. It was a lot. So I wanted to go to the Lion King. So we went to the Lion King, and it was I just picked a show. I didn't know that we were going to sit in the Lion King, and I don't know if you all have seen the Lion King, but there's a song that says, "He lives in you, he lives in me." And I won't continue to sing, sorry. But I was bawling. Like, Ella was looking at me like, "Mommy," I was hyperventilating, I think. But Ella was looking at me. The whole day I was thinking about my dad and thinking about what he would, or what he would say to see me and Ella, our miracle baby, on the NASDAQ tower. And then I go to the Lion King that night with Ella, and that song plays, and I don't even remember that song, but it is, there's a reason. Like, I don't know, God has blessed me in so many ways, and I always say, like, I don't know why, like, why I'm so blessed. And I used to say I'm lucky. I used to say, I mean, obviously I have like deep spirituality and deep beliefs, and thank God every day for all of my blessings. But I used to say I'm lucky. I'm just lucky. I'm just a lucky girl. Like, I mean, how lucky am I to just stand here now? I'm just a lucky girl. I used to say that, but, and then I used to say I'm blessed. I'm blessed. I still say I'm blessed. I'm so blessed. But now I started saying I'm worthy. I'm worthy. And I feel like a lot of girls, when they reach certain levels, they at any point in their lives, they feel as though their success is because of luck, or because someone, it was just random, as opposed to feeling worthy of my success. Like, I'm worthy. I worked hard for what I've accomplished, and I'm worthy of my accomplishments. And so I just also wanted to share that, because I feel like we don't give ourselves enough credit for what we've accomplished as females in the house. I then wanted to just mention one last thing, and I don't know. I don't know how I am with time. Okay. Yes, of course. If anyone has thoughts, questions, comments, and share their story. But I did want to just share that, I've always said, I mean, I talk about being an 800-pound gorilla. Again, that was the comment that when I was in college. And I always remind myself, like, whenever I'm insecure about taking on a new challenge, I always remind myself, and actually one of my coaches, like, I'm lucky, and not lucky, okay, I'm sorry, I'm worthy of having a coach now. I have a coach who, an executive coach, yeah, I'm an executive, I have a coach, and she helped me and said, Alvina, the more I've learned about you, you're not just an 800-pound gorilla. She said, you're an 800-pound spiritual gorilla. So that's my new thing. I am. I'm an 800-pound spirit. There's a difference, right? Because I really, really have deep spirituality, and I am so blessed, and I just wanted to let you all know how humbled and honored I am to be in front of you, and I truly believe that we can help propel each other to new heights, and I am motivated and inspired by that now more than ever in my life. In the past, when I remember, even when Miriam first asked me to share my story years ago, I was like, why does anyone want to hear my story? Like, I mean, beyond my uncle and my cousin and my husband who has to deal with me and my daughter, like, why would anyone want to hear my story? But what I've learned is we all have a story to tell. We all, and if we're not vulnerable to share the story, then how can we lift each other? How can we inspire each other? And it's not that I'm sharing a story for any other reason but for that. And so I just am so blessed. I thank you, Mariam, for giving me that opportunity years ago. And honestly, what has motivated me to continue to take the time, and I love what we're doing with NAButalks and all that we're doing with education. I mean, I haven't been to convention in 25 years or 20 years. Am I exaggerating? I haven't been to convention. This is a different convention. This is, what you all have created. I hope we can all come together and continue to propel. And for me to bring our 14-year-old boys and our 10-year-old daughter to convention to see their Assyrian community and learn from each other and be inspired, like that just is the most beautiful experience of my life. And so I am so happy, and I will never miss another convention. So anything anyone has to ask or any comments, please.
I have a question. First of all, my name is Ashur Shiba. I am a huge fan of yours. I've even read your article in Forbes, the one they published about you. I'm from Chicago. Unfortunately, we got the less quality U.S. that lives there.
Oh, yes, Asher, yeah. My brother.
He's one of my best friends. I love him to death. So my question to you is, we have a ton of young women, inspiring young women out of Chicago. And it would be our honor if you can come to Chicago and do this in Chicago sometime, either the end of this year or next year.
1,000,000%. Yes.
Got it. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I mean, one thing I wanted to share is I travel all over the world, for the company I work for. And, I feel, why not? Why don't we share and make sure that we build a community globally? And so I would love that. And my brother and my sister, I talked a lot about my dad and my mom, but I'm the baby girl. They are my inspiration. They are the ones that have taken care of me and allowed me to also pursue my aspirations. So thanks for bringing up Asher.
He told me not to.
Any questions?
Yes.
Oh, I don't need them. I'll just say it loud. So, thank you. So, I'm a nurse practitioner, but I came because we do use this actually in healthcare, but for OCTA, so I'm familiar with it. But my question is for those who are like teenagers. I have a nephew that's familiar with this. I wish he could be here, but he started school out back at East. So if somebody wanted to come shadow you or come see you, and I don't know, be with Alvina for the day, would you be open to that for students? I'm sure there's some of you guys out here want to do it too, so I'm asking for them too.
Look, I think my answer is going to be 1,000%. We do, I mentioned the nonprofit that I'm on the advisory board for with Build, and we do shadowing. Same thing with Girls in Tech, we do shadowing. Why not do it for our Assyrians? Come to our office, shadow. I mean, if you saw a day in the life of Alvina, I mean, you might run, but how that's what I talk about. Like the way you learn is by being a sponge. And so if you're interested in that, how would I mean, are you kidding me? I would love and be honored to have that.
Okay. You guys heard that. She said yes to her office, so we got your email.
I'm in San Francisco. So right across from the Salesforce Tower. So if you want to come hang with me, I spend a lot of time there.
You're giving me a cardio here.
All right. Hi, Alvina. My name is Danny. I also work in the Bay Area. I work for a tech company. And, corporate America is this giant maze that a lot of people, may not know how to navigate. There's always two trains of thoughts. Like, do I just write it out at my company, go the whole, marathon, try to climb up? Or job switch and kind of chase a better salary, better benefits, stuff like that. I've been at the same company for a couple of years, and I'm just wondering, what is the most, in this day and age, what do you see people kind of doing? What's the best way to kind of navigate from company to company or technology to technology to make sure you're getting, your financial needs met and also not being pinholed by like one technology?
Thanks for asking that. What I would say is the most important thing is building breadth and depth of experience. And a lot of the times I see people, now, I went from having 30 people actually when I started at Zora, I had 3 employees, and now I have 300 employees on my team. And, the employees, there's many employees that focus on title. They're worried about title, and they're worried about getting promoted to the next title. And they're not focusing on impact and influence and realizing that the titles will come when you have the impact and influence. And that's what I'm what I continue to advocate for is if you don't feel like you have the opportunity to build breadth and depth in the company that you're working for to be able to allow you to get to the next level, and if you don't feel that you have clarity around what is the ideal role. Some of the best advice that I got when I actually left Dell and I was seeking, my next opportunity, I didn't share this, was a CEO friend of mine mentioned to me, well, what's the ideal role? And I was generic. When you have mentors and sponsors, if you're generic, if you're like, well, I don't know what company or what role, I felt as though being specific was holding me back from many opportunities. But what I realized is the more specific you are, the more people can help you. The more specific you are in terms of what role, what industry, what company, that is what will allow you to put it out there and nail it, whether it's within the company that you're currently working for or whether it's time to leave. And so you have to, really think hard about what is the next opportunity for you. Are you in a position to be qualified for that opportunity? If not, why not? And have real introspection as to what gaps you have that limit you from taking on that opportunity. Once you close those gaps, then you determine, is that role in the company? And if not, be really open and specific about what role is you're seeking from anyone and everyone in your network. So that's what I would say.
We have room for one more question before we go to our next panel. Anyone with questions? All right, then claps. Thank you so much, Alvina. Amazing.
إيمانوايلا أكسيدنت اتنرابا ناشا ليطي متبصلتا قد شكلي. اتلا نسيانة بدنا كيسس ات انجري law. و بيالباية قريمخ. إن آتن ينكل بتت بيتا خزموخن يطانة اتلوخن بوقارة مخبرون المنيان التلفون 8 أربع شوا وچو 8 تري وچو 5 خا اشتا يعني توكن بيت injuryrights.com. شمي إلى توني كالغراكس كي يمزمن لشان خلية يما.
Welcome to Assyrian National Council of Illinois. Where we provide home care services for the elderly 60 years and older. For over 20 years, ANCI has worked closely with the state of Illinois to strengthen and expand our home care program. We currently service the Chicagoland area, including Cook, Kane, and DuPage counties. If you are interested in finding out more about our home care services, please visit us at our Chicago or Streamwood office.